Well, good morning, everyone. We're down here at the Las Vegas Federal Courthouse. The jurors had a question, and we all went up there just a few minutes ago, or at least most of them did, to find out what this question was. We still don't have a full conclusion of understanding, I guess, totally, but we are trying to figure this out. And one thing we do know is that it does not look like we're going to get a verdict at all this week. So we're not looking to get a verdict, it looks like right now, until possibly next week. The jurors are thinking about going home today at 1 o'clock. We'll know here shortly if they're going to go home and reconvene here to start deliberating again on Monday morning, is what we're being told. And they got a lot of work ahead of them, a lot of things to decide. And the question was this morning, I'll let Andrea kind of go over these questions. She's sitting in the courtroom and writing these all down. So hopefully we can explain this to you.
So the questions are actually under seal, so we don't get to hear what the actual question is. But they said the first question indicated there's a contradiction in the jury instruction and the jury form. And I believe that it goes to the conspiracy. And it lists the objects of the conspiracy, and what if they cannot find unanimously that they agree on those. The judge then tells us that she thinks that its wording is the confusion, because the conspiracy has to be an agreement between two or more persons. But those two or more persons do not have to be any of the 6 defendants inside. So upstairs, they have to find that there is a conspiracy first, because if they find that there is not a conspiracy, if they cannot unanimously agree, and I believe the first count of conspiracy has 6 different elements and the second only has 2, and if they cannot find unanimously that they agree on any of those counts, then there is no conspiracy, and therefore nobody can be guilty of anything. So first they have to find that there is a conspiracy, and I think she was saying that their confusion is the conspiracy can be with people who are not in the courtroom. Now this is huge because they're pretty much putting people on trial that are not upstairs to defend themselves. Did you want to speak on that for a minute?
Yeah, so we've got guys that are sitting in jail for the last 414 days today that haven't even been in trial here, that are on trial by the jurors. They are saying that you can find that there's a conspiracy on what little evidence we give you, what little exhibits we gave you on other people that were there in the wash, were there that day on the 12th of April 3 years ago. So if you can find that these other people committed a conspiracy, that can apply to these 6 defendants up here. So first, you have to find that there's a conspiracy. And if you can find there's a conspiracy outside of these 6 guys, you can implement these 6 guys in that conspiracy. And that's a big task for the jurors to do. There's no way possible. You cannot have a conspiracy with people that has not even been convicted or even had a trial yet. And that's what this court is doing here today.
What's the use of prejudice?
Their jury instructions are 15 pages long, and their verdict form is 11 pages. So they're sitting up there with 26 pages trying to decipher everything, and they're finding that there's contradiction in all of this, and that's where they're having their issues. It looks to be confusing, and I don't see how they can find a conspiracy when the people who supposedly conspired together never testified. They didn't have that evidence against them in the courtroom. So it's confusing to me, and it's also confusing to me if they find the conspiracy here, does that mean the next trial jurors don't have to find that conspiracy, and that goes into the next one? This is all questions that I don't have the answer to.
So we're left sort of confused, probably more confused or just as confused as the jurors up here. The jurors are definitely confused. They had a question after, this is the 5th day of deliberation. They have this question after these 5 days. Is there a conspiracy? And trying to figure out this question. One of the questions in the indictment is persons that committed a conspiracy, not a defendant that committed conspiracy as persons. So that's so broad these defendants are not in that indictment necessarily. It's persons in the indictment is how it's worded. And they're going to try to find a conspiracy with persons outside, again, outside the defendants here. So we're still trying to wrap our minds totally around it and try to figure out what exactly said. And a lot of this was sealed, so we really don't know exactly the wording of the questions that the jurors had. But the jurors did come into the room briefly, and the judge and them explained to them the best they could on what to answer that question. And the jurors then made a note that they wanted to leave at 1 o'clock today. We're going to get an answer on that just soon, whether they do leave or not. They're not planning on possibly coming back tomorrow.
She didn't say that. She said that it's up to them if they come back tomorrow or not. We will not know the answer to that until we find out if they are leaving today at 1, if they're coming back tomorrow. Right now, the jury is allowed to make their own schedule. So most likely if they ask to leave today at 1, they're going to leave today at 1. It'll be up in the air if they come back tomorrow or not.
So we'll try to have you some more updates as soon as we can on this and try to figure out exactly what's happening. We're just as much in the dark down here. We're just waiting on answers from the court ourselves. So if we can find anything of importance, you guys will be the first ones to know too, and we'll give you another update. And we don't know what time that may be at this time. So
can we get everybody to type in "not guilty"? Just flood it. Not guilty. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Type in there, not guilty. That's what we want. We can see that these jurors have a lot of questions, and we're thankful for that. That it's taken them this long to find out the truth. There was not enough evidence presented in this case. It was all kept out of the case. Not enough exhibits. The government had over 500,000 exhibits just off of Facebook, and we got the peek at just a few of those. And defendants and their lawyers tried to bring a lot of this in, and the government objected, and they said that this evidence wasn't necessary. So, again, any more questions there?
Awesome. Everybody's responding, not guilty. We get the vibration going out there. Everybody thinks it. Everybody prays it. Everybody talks it.
We just had an alternate here, looking at an alternate juror. He was looking at the signs, and I went over and talked to him. We had a nice little talk. I told him what happened in Oregon, and I said something similar seems to be happening at this time. And I said we had 7 defendants, 13 charges, no convictions. I said and I'm the one speaking at this time. I said, how do you get into the minds of people and come up with conspiracy? He goes, that is the issue right there. Now, he was not on any of the deliberations, keep that in mind, but this is his own thinking. How do you get in the minds of people?
Know the intents of their heart.
Yeah, know the intents of their heart. And I'm willing to bet that's obviously that's what's happening right now too. Yeah.
It'd definitely be a lot easier for a juror to determine that their hearts
that's
were
awesome.
good than that they were conspiring for evil.
That's the second juror that we know that was on this case as an alternate juror that has been down here in the last couple of days, and they are curious of what's going on. They watched this case for weeks and weeks go on, and so that's the second juror that has came down here to see what's going on for themselves and is curious of knowing what's the outcome of this is going to be. So I feel really good about this case. I know that we're all waiting anxiously for what's going to happen, but as long as this is happening with the jurors taking this long, I believe a truthful outcome is going to come of it, and we're going to get a not guilty for these guys, because that's exactly what we're praying for. And we know God is good, and He's going to give us this not guilty. So
awesome.
Same thing happened in Oregon in the first trial. The jurors really dug into it, and they found out the truth there. So
good news.
Awesome.
Could you show us these new signs real quick?
So we got a bunch of signs. We got quite a few people out here today, and they're kind of in the shadows right now this morning. But we had these over in Portland, Oregon, and through the last trial. They are awesome signs. Release our ranchers and cowboys.
Look at that heart, guys. Send some hearts.
No BLM, no EPA. We've got another one here, whatever it takes over here. Sign. location sign. We hung these signs up yesterday, not knowing if they was going to allow us to attach them to the trees. And after a couple of hours of Homeland Security coming through and looking at them, they finally sent a Homeland Security rig through, and the Homeland Security people stopped in the road and they talked to several of us and told us that they were going to allow it, that the landlord of this property, that the only thing they were concerned about is that that we didn't attach any nails into the trees. So we assured them that we were not going to nail them up or fasten them that way, that we were not damaging the trees. So they gave us leadway there, and they're allowing us to do it without trying to make us take it down. We had somewhere close to 40 plus people yesterday. Down here today, there's probably close to 30 of us. So we've got a good crowd out here again today. We may not be in court tomorrow. We don't know yet. We're just hoping to, I'm hoping the jurors do stay tomorrow myself, because I think we could get an answer this week if they could actually deliberate one more day with the questions they had today. But we do not know at this time. Hopefully about 1 o'clock we'll know if they're going to stay, go home, come back tomorrow, or be back Monday. But this is a shirt I actually wore in Portland, Oregon for the first not guilty trial. Ammon Bundy was always wearing a shirt similar to this, jail scrubs, and I got political prisoner on the back. And I wore this day after day down there during the first trial. So
see that hat too.
And the hat here.
This hat right here, people.
And one other thing you can Google.
Eric Parker.
Google.
He's our hero.
Bunkerville, Nevada. Just Google that on your phone. Eric Parker and him being on that bridge, it's kind of amazing. That's when you Google Bunkerville, Nevada, that comes up on Google. Eric Parker's picture does. And it doesn't matter where you're at, it comes up on the Google search engine. So that's pretty interesting. Google that after a while, anybody who can, and just take a look at that and read that article that's under the Google search engine there. I guess that's all we have for you, unless there's any more questions today. We will sign off for now, but as soon as we get the first bit of news down here, we'll be back on here and let you know what's going on. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Perfect. Jury nullification, people. Let that sit in your mind throughout the weekend. It's an awesome sign.
No, I found the phone before.
All right, peace.
Deliberating again on Monday morning is what we're being told. And they got a lot of work ahead of them, a lot of things to decide. And the question was this morning, I'll let Andrea kind of go over these questions. She's sitting in the courtroom and writing these all down. So hopefully we can explain this to you.
So the questions are actually
figure this out. And one thing we do know is that it does not look like we're going to get a verdict at all this week. So we're not looking to get a verdict, it looks like right now, until possibly next week. The jurors are thinking about going home today at 1 o'clock. We'll know here shortly if they're going to go home and reconvene here to start. Well, good morning, everyone. We're down here at the Las Vegas Federal Courthouse. The jurors had a question, and we all went up there just a few minutes ago, or at least most of them did, to find out what this question was. We still don't have a full conclusion of understanding, I guess, totally, but we are trying to
seal, so we don't get to hear what the actual question is. But they said the first question indicated there's a contradiction in the jury instruction and the jury form. And I believe that it goes to the conspiracy. And it lists the objects of the conspiracy, and what if they cannot find unanimously that they agree on those. The judge then tells us that she thinks that its wording is the confusion, because the conspiracy has to be an agreement between 2 or more persons. But those 2 or more persons do not have to be any of the 6 defendants inside. So upstairs,